Good afternoon. I want to welcome everyone to the IDHS Permanent Supportive Housing Engaging with Tenants webinar. Just as a reminder, if you are involved in this, you will be able to hear only what we are saying. And if you would like to ask us a question, you need to go and type it into the area on your computer screen where you can type in a question, and we will answer those to the best of our ability at the end of this session. And then we will also add up those questions and put them on the website along with the recorded version of this webinar. Again, thank you for attending and welcome. I'm Lori Baker of the Supportive Housing Providers Association, and I have with me today Aaron Eldridge from the Supportive Housing Providers Association and Lindsay Bishop from the Corporation for Supportive Housing. We're really excited to be able to bring this webinar to you. We know as we've traveled around and talked with people and done technical assistance and training that engaging tenants can be a really difficult thing to do. We've heard that loud and clear, so that's one of the reasons that we really wanted to provide this training series on engaging with tenants and permanent supportive housing. We understand that it's really important to the success of your tenants in housing to be able to engage them and re-engage them as issues and ebbs and tides of people's lives go up and down. Sometimes people have challenges and barriers that make it difficult to remain engaged. So we're going to try to talk about perspectives from engagement experts, an overview of what engagement is, and what compromises effective engagement, including special considerations for people with mental illness and substance abuse issues. So in this training series, we will have this initial webinar. Then we will do our 2.5-hour in-person trainings. We'll have 3 in Chicago and 3 in other locations around the state. At the end of this presentation, we will have that information about where and when those sessions will be held so that you can begin to register as soon as we get done with this webinar. This webinar will be uploaded later on today onto our website, and you'll be able to access it there to re-listen to it, as well as have other staff members that aren't able to be here today listen to this if you would like them to. Aaron?
All righty. What I'm going to do now is give you kind of an overview of what a supportive housing program is. Basically, you can provide supportive service coupled with housing to low-income individuals and individuals at risk of homelessness, families at risk of homelessness. Service enable households to live independently. Putting people in housing isn't just all we want to do. We want to place them in housing that they can afford and provide the services that's going to make sure that they can maintain living in those houses. The process is provide case management, counseling, advocacy services within 5 days. As soon as someone is identified as being in your housing program, you provide them with those services within the first 5 days. After meeting with the client, getting some type of counseling, getting some type of assessments back, what you're going to do is create a service plan. You and that client together creating a service plan within that first week so that there's a clear-cut idea of what the client has to work on and what you as the service provider are going to assist them in working on. It can't be a service plan that just says client is going to stay in housing, go to doctor, pay bills on time. Those are 2 cookie-cutter type of service plan. We want each service plan to be individualized. That's why you have to provide the counseling, case management, and advocacy services first so that you can come up with an individualized service plan specifically for that client. The service plan must include monthly outcomes and ongoing goals. There should be some type of action steps in the service plan. Such and such will be done within a week time. Such and such will be done within a month time. Such and such will be done within the quarter time. However the agency decides that you do your service plans, whether they're quarterly, monthly, every 6 months, whatever it is, there should be individualized steps that add up to that service plan and to be renewed when the agency decides those service plans are to renew. You do an intake and assessment. Again, certain things happen as soon as the client enters the program. You do the intake, which is the agency's individual paperwork that enrolls the client in the plan. Then some type of mental health assessment or some type of assessment to help decide what the particular services that client is going to need. During the progress of this, you document everything that you need that has been going on with that client to make sure that everything is in that client's file. Because you can do all the work in your world, and as we know, if it's not documented, it didn't happen. As you can see on the next slide, these are the services that IDHS will pay for. A number of you are already providing these services, but it helps to kind of refresh your memory what the services that IDHS will pay for. Again, advocacy is a mandatory service. That counseling and case management, other services that they will pay for. So again, this is that list that reminds everyone what particular services clients that IDHS will pay for clients. Now, the purpose of this, what does engagement mean in permanent supportive housing? Engagement is a process. It's not an event. You engage over a period of time working with that particular client on whatever their needs are. It's that relationship piece between you and that tenant or that client that builds. You're not going to be the best of buddies, the best of friends, the best of service provider and client day one. This is a thing that happens over time. So be willing to go through those kind of growing pains to work with that client to build up that relationship. Again, engagement is ongoing. People want to be talked to and not talked at. So make sure you remember those things when you're engaging that client. Nobody likes to be told what to do. So again, this is a kind of a relationship between you and the client for ultimately the client to better their situation. Again, like I said, it takes a length of time to establish this working relationship because it is going to be an ongoing process to work with that client.
This is Lindsay Bishop from CSH, and I'm not sure if Sean has been able to join us yet, but we...
I'm here.
Oh, great, Sean, thank you. And so we're excited to kind of have engagement from the standpoint of an expert that does this work kind of every day in the field. And so, Sean, it would be great if you could give us just a few minutes about who you are and kind of what you do, and then kind of dig into why is engagement important in providing supportive services and supportive housing, and what it can really look like in the real world, and what you have, through your work, identified what works well and not so well. So I'll turn it over to you, Sean. Thank you.
Okay, my name's Sean O'Gara. I'm here in Chicago. For years, I generally worked in a lot of different outreach programs, doing outreach to homeless people in the streets and shelters, mostly people with severe mental illness, and trying to engage with them to get them into the service they need to, achieve their goals as they spell them out, which usually involve housing, and hopefully mental health services that would be conducive to their staying in housing. The last gentleman, I didn't catch his name, but I thought he did a very good job of discussing engagement, how it is a process. Why is it important? Well, it's important, same reason why a trusting relationship is important. That's what engagement is all about, is developing a trusting relationship between the provider and client so that you can best help them achieve their self-identified goals. It's about earning their trust so they'll share with you what it is that they want for themselves, what their goals are, and then also trust you and helping them understand what their options are and helping them make decisions, make choices that will lead to their, achieving those self-identified goals and the long-term stability that, they and hopefully we are seeking. What works? Consistency. And by that I mean, meeting with the client every week or more than once a week, twice a week if that's needed, but being consistent in doing that, and not missing appointments or allowing too much time to lapse between visits and contacts. Even if the person doesn't want to talk to you, at least showing up and letting them know, indirectly that you cared, you're there for them, and you're interested in their welfare. Another thing that's kind of important with engaging with clients is always letting, I always kind of put it like, let them dictate the pace of the relationship, kind of let them set the boundaries. You earn their respect simply by respecting their boundaries and respecting the pace at which they want the relationship to develop. If the first time you're engaging with somebody and they say they don't want to talk about something, back off. You earn their trust a lot just by showing that you were going to respect their boundaries. Or in my case, when I was doing street outreach with people who were severely mentally ill, they might be very, very guarded or paranoid and react to me with hostility when I approach and just tell them to go F off. And I would. I'd immediately leave them alone and respect their boundaries. And in a way, you passively gain their trust by doing that, because you show them that, oh, you're not going to be a threat. You're not going to try to push past the boundaries that they set. You're going to respect them. And I've actually had a lot of occasions where individuals that kind of started out with me like that, telling me to F off, eventually I was able to develop a trusting relationship with them, because every step of the way I respected their boundaries and didn't take things any faster than they were willing to go. Another important thing with engagement, and I'm sorry, I'm sure a lot of you people already know this already, but don't ever promise something that you're not 100% sure you can deliver, like something you have in your back pocket. I really don't like making promises to participants. You can promise effort, but even then I'd be kind of cautious about it, but you can't promise results unless you're talking about you're going to give them something that's in your back pocket or your bag or something like that. Because if you get too enthusiastic in trying to promise all these bright, wonderful things for them, and for some reason, and you have every intention and expectation you'll be able to deliver them, but for some reason you can't or don't, you lose a great deal of trust, and you hurt the relationship in doing so. So you could say, be very frank and direct and honest in what you can do and what you cannot do, and be very, very cautious about ever promising someone something. What does engagement look like? It's just simply spending time with a person and getting to know them and kind of earning their trust. It doesn't always have to be engagement related to the business at hand, the services you're providing, and so forth. Small talk, casual talk, talking about their cultural interests, whether it be music, movies, sports, whatever, is good engagement. It's just simple, same as making friends in the community or college or whatever. It's getting to know a person and let them know you have an interest in them and what they're about. It's very important. Taking time. A lot of times people might be in housing, might be a little nervous about having in your place. Going to places in the community together, whether it just be some place for coffee at McDonald's or what have you, or in the park to talk and hang out. Even if you're not having these conversations related to their care, is an important way to engage with people and kind of develop a strong relationship with them. Again, never judging, just maintaining use of a lot of open-ended questions and getting to know them, their interests, what challenges they're facing is also very important. And getting them to talk and getting them to disclose. You want to go with the open-ended questions and reflect back to them what they're telling you, and so that it's clear to them that you understand them and have an interest in them and what they have to say.